Parnell. I'm Carrier Dene from the interior of BC, and I'm also the Community Garden Coordinator at Vancouver Native Health. This is the UBC farm. This is where Vancouver Native Health has had a garden since 2005. We have an acre and a half of garden space there, and we also share a garden with our neighboring Musqueam First Nation. Development of our program started in the downtown east side of Vancouver, where the populations are very food insecure. The people in downtown east side are First Nations, are single parent families. While I was going to SFU and in one of my programs, we decided that we were going to develop a program for the people in the downtown east side to have a good food box, and that started in 2005. Next slide. Designed to be rooted in the holistic culture and values and teachings around Indigenous foods, one of our focuses was on First Nations Indigenous foods. So we applied for a grant to get a smokehouse on UBC farm, and I believe it's the only smokehouse in the urban Vancouver area, and we use that to smoke salmon, deer, and moose meat. So our garden outputs is we have a lot of benefits that are going out to the community, as you can see. We bring people from the downtown east side up to UBC farm to work for the day, and they train a lot of youth to work alongside the elders, so we have that intergenerational piece, knowledge from the elder to the youth, and that really comes in handy alongside of the smokehouse teachings, because a lot of our youth today don't know how to use a smokehouse. The elders are kind of transferring that knowledge on to them. We have quite a large volunteer base. It's over 1,000 in the past year. We also do workshop on cultural promotion. So we do workshops on weaving, cedar weaving, drum making, and drum painting, and we do song. And all of this is at UBC Garden or at our office at Vancouver Native Health. We're actually now developing a book. It's a children's book, and it's geared toward kids between K to 3, and it's getting them excited about gardening and introducing them to gardening. Launched in the spring of 2012. Next slide, please. You can see a picture of our Harvest Fest. See the pumpkins on the table. We have 2 huge festivals each year. One is the Blessing of the Land, and that's just before we start planting. We get the elders of Musqueam to come out and bless the land and have a big celebration and food and everything, and we bring all of the community and all of the funders and interesting people who are like-minded to the UBC farm, have a big feast. And this one is the Harvest Fest that was on October 4th. We had about 100 or so people come up to the Harvest Feast, and that was just to celebrate everything that we took out of the garden, which was a lot, and we had a lot of help from all our volunteers and our elders. So next slide. So the Vancouver Native Health Kitchen Garden Project is engaged new participants all the time. We're always inviting new participants to come up to the garden and work in the garden. We understand over the years that, if gardening is a great way of health. Once they get their hands in the dirt and they plant the seeds and they work with the soil, I've seen it time and time again that they always come out. They're always so happy, and they're always so thankful that they came up to the garden with us just to spend a day away from the noise of the downtown east side. You can hear the birds. Sometimes we light a fire up there. I know a lot of the elders like lighting the fire, but they insist on doing it themselves. They want to do it. Okay, great. It's they're taking control of their health and their own physical well-being, which is awesome. There's a lot of benefits that I've seen personally that come from the working in the garden, including increased self-esteem, increased activity, knowing where food comes from, growing their own food, and once they've seen the things like our cabbage, you know, I remember one of the elders planting the cabbage and harvesting it 3 months later and cooking it. He said, "Whoa, that was the best cabbage he ever had." So it's really awesome. Next slide, please. Some of the challenges. Right at this time, we can only get up to the farm once a week. We would like to get up there more than once a week. Maybe 2 or 3 times a week would be ideal for us. A lot of the elders and our volunteer staff like to go up there more often, but you know, we have to book a year ahead of time with UBC Farm. As a coordinator of the program, I'm finding that I'm needing more staff to come on board. And in the past, we've had misunderstandings around cultural knowledge of First Nations. So I think there's some really great programs out there for cultural competence training for, you know, people who are working with our group and with the people from the downtown east side. And I need to engage more elders. I have our community kitchen coordinator she's been very active in getting more elders to come up to the garden, and we're thinking of creative ways to get them to the garden. We've actually designated a plot that we're going to, this is the elders' garden, and we're going to put their name on each plot and have a little bit of ownership on the garden. And funding and office space, it's always an issue within a nonprofit. We have engaged, it looks like a 3-year-old who is planting a seedling, and that's one of our goals, that's one of my goals, to engage young children, to teach them how to plant, teach them where food comes from. And that's why it brings us back to that book that I'm creating along with our editor and illustrator. Such a cute book that I'm looking forward to having that published. Slide, please. So some of our successes are that we've had more than 1,000 participants come up to the farm each year. We've also had talks and debriefings about after each session, you know, that going up to the farm, it's about a 15-minute ride from the downtown east side and 15-minute ride back. So on the ride back, we'll talk about the increased exercise. Wow, what a great meal we had. You know, I can't believe, I'm going to try that at home. Because a lot of our community kitchens that we have, we use the produce from the garden, and we bring it up and we show them how to cook with it. And increase self-esteem. And what I'm really excited and proud about is we're teaching the youth, particularly Aboriginal youth, about our own Indigenous foods. So we're strengthening in ties to our own Indigenous foods. We have been recognized as Health Canada Best Practices. Thank you. And we're really proud of that as well. So, and then we're also engaging the community all the time. It's because we're open to the public. This is a program. This is our yearly chart of what we have in the garden. So this year we grew a lot of kale. Kale was huge, and it grows really well here. And lettuce, onion, and peas. The tomatoes did really well. We also planted some carrot and cabbage. So this year we got about 1,000 pounds of produce out of the garden, and that all went to our volunteers, elders, and some of the nonprofits in the downtown east side. Some of our short-term goals is to come up with a new name for our program, because right now we have Vancouver Urban Aboriginal Garden Kitchen Project, so it's quite long, so we want to make it really short and catchy for our program. We also want to designate an advisory committee to have our regular community kitchen activities calendar to go out to the nonprofit on a monthly basis. We're working on a lot of things all the time to make our program run like a well-oiled machine. Okay, so next slide, please. This is me at the end of our Harvest Fest. I was so glad. It turned out to be a really good day. Even though that whole week in Vancouver it was raining, and that day it didn't rain, I was so happy. So end of our Harvest Feast, and so it was really good. So next slide, please. So getting back to basics, I really love this picture, and this is my last slide. And when you see this picture, it's of a First Nations woman picking berries. And you can tell that this woman was of a matriarchal status. just because of the way her head is shaped. People on the Vancouver Island used to put a board on the baby so like the baby's head would be flat. I just thought it was a really great tie-in to my kind of getting back to basics and really taking ownership of our own food. So thank you. That's my presentation.
So this is the Urban Aboriginal Community Kitchen Garden Project interventions. As you can see, it's currently on the Canadian Best Practices portal. And so this is how interventions and programs appear. And so you'll notice that we have a short description of the program there. You can there's a link to visit the actual site, and you can download a detailed summary of the intervention where we list a lot of information for users. You can also find on this page citation information and links to reports and other documents that would be relevant to the program.